Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Military Mutterings, where I, Jack Fletcher, and my good friend,
Me, Kevin Janssen.
shall be discussing this week the Mi-24 Hind, the flying tank of the Eastern Bloc. Now, Kevin, what do we know about the Hind?
Well, there is much to be said about the Hind, but just for the record, we're going to keep it short for this video, otherwise we'll be here for a very long time. So, pretty much the Hind came out of the idea of making troop transporting helicopters that were also capable of carrying weapons to the front, so like multi-role helicopters. If you look at the Americans, they had their, what were they called, the Cobras, and these were dedicated anti-tank or just dedicated gunship helicopters. They didn't have any sort of cargo space or anything like that. They were very powerful, but not what Russia needed. And that's where the Hind came from. As you can see on the photo, you can see before you right now, you see in the middle there's just two big old doors. That is because that is an entire cargo space for troops or cargo or whatever you want to think of. The early versions of the Mi-24, we'll get to one in just a bit, actually did not carry that much when it came to anti-weaponry wise. The first ones didn't have ATGMs actually, they were mainly focusing around the cargo side of things or the troop deployment side of things. But pretty much the original idea of the Mi-24 was to have it armed with a 23mm GSH autocannon. But this was actually scrapped earlier on, and it was actually changed into a 12.7mm Gatling gun. But in the end, they did go back to the 23. I guess they kind of saw the potential of this helicopter being an actual true gunship. So, but yeah, the original ones tend to differ quite a lot here, which is pretty interesting.
Yes, so if we go to the first here, we have the Flying Greenhouse,
Was
variant.
that the real nickname?
Nope, that's the nickname I've given it.
Nice.
Well, as you can see, this cockpit is on the more exposed side, let's just say. It did have bulletproof glass and all that. Much more limited ordnance choices. You are still looking at some bombs, some anti-tank guided missiles, mainly the 9M17M Phalange, as well as your good old standard S5Ks and your Fab 500s or your Fab 250s.
Also, the S-24, the big unguided rockets.
Yes, well, I don't know about those, but what I will say, however, is that well, the as you can see in the nose, there is an MG, but this isn't like the standard MG that you normally see with the variants other than the A variant. This is the A12.7, which is a 12.7mm machine gun. That is, well, a rather old machine gun, produced in, designed in 1949, produced 1953 onwards. It is a rather antiquated piece of technology. However, if we go on to the next variant of the Hind, the one that the most recognizable version of the Hind.
Hold on. Before we go along, I would like to point out the side-by-side seating of this cockpit. Because it's only something you get on the A ones, because all the other ones, they're sitting behind each other.
Yeah, sorry, that is something we should have pointed out. Well, you say that, but there is also, well, in the A, there is also tandem as well.
That is true.
But the A does have a larger cockpit in general, I believe.
Yeah.
Right, so if we go on to the D, this is a variant that is easily the most recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is equipped with a, say, in a little turret beneath the nose, a 12.7mm YAKB 50 caliber machine gun, and can, well, it can carry a lot more in terms of weaponry options. You've got the S-24 rockets, because I don't believe the A used them, but it can also carry 23mm GSH-23L cannons, still the good old-fashioned 9M17 Phalange, but in the P modification, and we're also looking at still, again, bombs and S5K rockets. And also, this thing could carry countermeasures as well. So, like your flares and all that jazz.
Yeah,
But
flares, chaff, that sort of stuff.
This is what many would consider to be the definitive. Like, it's probably the most famous variant.
Also, something you can see on this photo is that they've painted two little eyes on the front, bulges, just above the cockpits. Which,
yes.
didn't this one have the nickname of Crocodile or something along those lines?
I believe so, yes.
I think it's a very cool design for a helicopter.
Yes. And the pilots of the Hinds did call them tank busters. Well, flying tanks, which is ironic, since that's the name given to the IL-2.
Yeah, well, actually, the Hinds were actually bulletproof to 12.7mm rounds, which is not something you would expect a helicopter to be easily shot down, but something this big, you've got plenty of weight to just put armor on.
The Hinds were rather well armored.
Yeah, very well armored.
Yes, right. So if
now we're going to go into very well armed.
Yes, we are looking at the Mi-24P. Now, the main difference you will notice externally is that the turret beneath the cockpit was removed and was replaced with a 30mm GSH-32K cannon, which was able to fire some rather excellent ammunition.
At a very, very high fire rate, too.
Yes, not only that, but the armament of this was improved as well to include the 9M114 Sturm missiles. It could still, of course, carry the S-24s, the S-24 unguided rockets. Instead of S-5Ks, we're looking at the SKA-0, or the KO unguided rockets, as well as air-to-air rockets, air-to-air missiles as well, mainly the R-60 and the R-60M. So this was a flying tank that could defend itself incredibly well. And of course, it had countermeasures as well. This is a powerful Hind.
I really like the gun. Also, those are not two guns. That's one gun with two barrels, because these are twin barrel guns.
Indeed.
I really like them. But now we're going to swap our two barreled things to just a single one. But look at that. Now this is the Mi-24 Super Hind. This is sort of like a latest thing that a company in South Africa has made. What you're looking at is pretty much a completely modernized Mi-24. I guess the most notable difference would be the gun in the front, which now has a complete camera and full gimbal mount and whole ammunition feeds. What we're looking at here is a 20mm M693 autocannon. Now, it sounds very familiar. I feel like this is on most other IFVs or whatnot. It's a very standardized gun, actually.
What cannon was that again, sorry?
The M693, but I also think it goes on by the name of F2. I think it was a well, it's an autocannon you see on a lot of IFVs or whatnot. But another thing the biggest thing this Super Hind modification actually changes is all the equipment and the radar. Look at this like a Russian helicopter having Western equipment all crammed into it. But weaponry-wise, like I said, the 20mm, but the gun parts, well, is not exactly clear. I tried to look into it a little bit. I have seen the occasional standard unguided rocket parts, and I also saw here that it could also carry the Ukrainian Bayern anti-tank missile. I do not know the specifics of it, but I think those are the 4 launchers we see on the tips of the wings right there. So it still has all of the anti-tank capabilities. But I must say, this Hind just looks absolutely fantastic.
It is a rather intimidating beast, I must say. Probably one of the most intimidating, if not the most, out of all of the Hinds that we've witnessed so far.
Yeah, I guess the black camouflage does it as well.
Yes, that is true. And, well, that's all of the Hind variants we're going to discuss today. Do you have any final words for this week?
Well, you're probably watching this video thinking, well, where are all the other variants? Well, if you look up the variants of the Hind yourself, you'll see that there are a metric ton. And like we
Yes.
said in the video, we were going to keep this one short. These were most of the more important variants
Yes,
for us
and
to
I'm
talk
not
about.
getting paid for this.
Not yet.
Neither.
Maybe, who knows. Anyways,
Yeah.
I don't really have much to add, really.
Oh, right. Well, in that case, I believe that we might as well leave this here. Nice way to end off, I suppose. So
Yeah.
join us next week as we will be taking a look at
What, a tank,
well,
was it?
yes. Shall I just
No,
let's
no,
put
no,
a little
no,
hint?
no, no, no. Okay, maybe a hint then.
Well, I mean, some call it a tank, others call it a turret on wheels.
Cheese wedge.
Cheese wedge. Well,
Alright.
we bid you all farewell. Goodbye.
Goodbye.